Hello and welcome to Mentorship Masterminds, the PMI podcast where we deep dive into the world of leadership, innovation, and personal growth. I'm your host, Mahesh Deshpande, and I'm thrilled to bring another captivating episode of Mentorship Masterminds. This podcast is sponsored by PMI San Francisco Bay Area chapter and is being recorded at Golden Gate University. Friends, today's topic is about transforming PMOs, project management organizations. And to talk to us about this topic, we have with us Leela Krishna. Leela brings 20 years of experience in companies like Oracle and ServiceNow. She is a mentor, a coach with the PMI San Francisco Bay Area chapter, and she is passionate about mentoring veterans. Leela, welcome to Mentorship Masterminds.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. I also wanted to express my gratitude to the PMO chapter, San Francisco chapter. Honored to be here and so grateful for the opportunity which you have all presented me. Thank you again.
Absolutely, Leela. We are honored to have you here. And today we want to talk about how PMOs within organizations are evolving, right? And with a focus on data, AI, and impact of those. But before we jump into that, we would like to know more about your background, your story, and how you got into Agile and the world of program management.
Absolutely, and I'm going to try to keep it short. I typically could talk for hours about myself, but thank you. So I initially started my career a long time ago in the wild world of advertising. And I used to be in ad films and I used to make ad campaigns, and I really enjoyed that. I moved to technology later in life, and I started first as a developer, coding, and then I moved to QA, then I was into some customer-facing roles. And for the longest time, I was in product management. I was in Oracle as a product manager. But I found my true passion in program management. And I've heard this question a lot, many people asking me, why did you move? I know you were going to ask me the same. Why did you move from product to program? And I think there are two distinct differences between the both. Product management, you are in charge of a product from the inception to the designing of the product to the launch, and even after launch when you have customer meetings where you're talking about enhancements coming in, and you're involved in customer advisory boards and field advisory boards and competitive market analysis. And it was a great field and I absolutely loved it, and I think I gained a lot of experience from it. And then I moved, I've been off and on into program management too while I was into product management, but program management per se has really taken over my interest and I've become passionate about it. And I think what I've learned from product management moves to program management. So why am I passionate about program management? I mean, hey, everyone has a passion, and why is this mine? I think the primary reason is that it gives some processes and it gives some diligence to the work which we're doing, and at the end of it you are responsible for the outcomes which are driven from this large time being spent in developing this program. So to me, I love people, I love interacting with people, so this seemed like a perfect set, and gaining all the experience from my previous lives has contributed more to my evolution in program management. That's why I'm here. So a little bit about myself there.
Thank you for sharing, Leela.
Of course.
You have a rich journey you have spent more than 15 to 20 years in program management, product and program management. How do you see the evolution of PMO, right, in all these years, with Agile manifesto being written, I believe, almost more than 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
But still being relevant. So how do you see this transformation within organizations, how the PMO has changed, and what role Agile has played in this transformation?
I think the PMO has changed a lot. As we've seen, companies are growing bigger, companies are becoming more global, and of course we've been hit by COVID, which again changed the entire way we work, remote work, global work, all that stuff, in terms of working, the working ecosystem itself has changed.
True.
But in terms of PMO changing is, what I have seen is I've worked in very large PMOs, I've worked in smaller PMOs, but let me just give you an example of a smaller PMO and how it has evolved through the years. In the olden days, when you talked about PMO, it was very much the projects were very much benefit-based. You were looking at what is the benefit of doing this project. You always wanted to be on time and on budget. And the PMOs, of course, were much more smaller. everything was not aligned, I would say, to a corporate strategy. But as the PMO has been growing and as the teams have been evolving and as new technology has been coming in, like we've had this whole new digital transformation, and we've had the growth of the methodologies in PMO itself. I mean, in the olden days, I mean, if I rack my brains and I go way back, I think in the early 1900s, they had the Gantt chart, then they had the PERT chart a few years later, then they had the WBS, which was used by the Department of Defense, and later on then they came up with the idea of, the Agile Manifesto, like you said, in the 2000s came in, and then we've been following scaled Agile after that, and there have been more changes going on. And also the focus has changed, because in the beginning it was like delivery on time, then it was a focus on quality, then you had matrix product management systems involved. I think now we are focused more on outcome-based programs. By outcome-based, I'm meaning to say that, we're looking more at measurable KPIs. We are looking at projects being much more defined. We are looking at aligning to corporate goals and strategies. So everything is, much more granular and much more defined. That's what I would say in terms of evolution as a program. And then again, I said, like, we are talking about moving in, collaborating with all the digital technologies coming in. And of course, AI being a big one is also up there in the future. Let's not forget about that. So PMO has grown from just giving projects, delivering it on time, to actually moving more into the realm of strategy. So now program managers are more strategic, and with AI, it's predicted that they need to be more strategic, because there are a lot of mundane tasks which have been done in the past by project managers, which would be taken over by AI. So there has been an exponential growth in the way we operate, and in the way we measure the benefits, and in the way we move, and also in our methodology. And again, to come back to your question about scaled Agile and Agile methodologies have become big, and Agile methodologies, they are flexible, they're iterative, there is constant and continuous improvement, there is better team spirit, there is more involvement by each team member in what they do. And again, it is by learning. You have all the retrospectives after your sprints are over, you get to learn and you get to improve. So it's constant evolution of continuous improvement as it's going on. So these are the changes which are there so far, and lots more in the future, right?
Absolutely. We are going to talk about AI for sure. But before moving to AI, I want to also talk about hybrid methodologies, right?
Right.
In Agile, companies are adapting to Agile, but they realize that there is some portion of waterfall and there is some portion of Agile.
Right.
Right. One of the conversations I had recently, they said that it is when people, like organizations, fail to adapt Agile, that's when they say they are going to hybrid. Right. So is there truth to that, or do you think that different programs have different necessities and probably a hybrid makes sense for some versus complete 100% Agile? What's your take on it?
It's a good question, Mahesh. It's a very good question. And my take is going to be from my personal experience. What I realize is that for some big initiatives, when you're looking at foundational initiatives, for example, master data management, for this kind of product, when there is a slight change in any deliverable in the MDM world, it impacts the entire organization. So if there's a change in one table for one variable, if you change your customer data in a specific way, it affects all your systems. It affects your financial systems, it affects your HR systems, it affects your sales, your marketing, everyone. So in this case, I'm not saying Agile is not great. I love Agile, and I think Agile methodologies are great in giving the results what we want. But when you have these big, large foundational deliverables, I do think that having a hybrid system would make more sense, especially using some parts of waterfall, especially in the initial phases where you're looking at requirements gathering and resource allocation and communicating to stakeholders as to what this project would entail. Mm-hmm. And during the execution and monitoring, then perhaps you could go into the Agile methodologies where you will be having the iterations, the continuous improvement, the constant monitoring, having the QA teams and the dev teams work hand in hand together so that the risk is being mitigated. That would be a great way. So I would think of it as a great example that which worked very well, in my opinion, for products like MDM. So I think it depends on the product and the methodology which you choose. I don't think there is one size fits all, unfortunately. Like in life, there isn't either. So I think in the methodologies, there isn't either. So this is where I stand, and this is what I believe.
So sometimes hybrid is better for certain projects compared to Agile?
In my opinion.
Okay.
In
Makes
my
sense.
opinion. But then, it depends on the organization, it depends on the products, it depends on the corporate strategy, it depends on what they want. But I do believe that for some projects, yes, hybrid is, and I do believe some teams are still using hybrid for that. So,
Yeah.
And Agile, of course, is flying fast, as agility should. So, so.
Let's come back to AI. You touched base upon AI, and all our podcasts these days we have few questions on AI because everybody is passionate.
Yes.
And that's where the whole hype as well as hope is at present, right? So how do you see AI impacting program management? Right? How does PMO have to evolve to adapt to AI?
Great questions. I mean, we all live in San Francisco, at least you and I both do, Mahesh, and I'm driving down 101 and all I see is billboards after billboards saying AI this, AI that. And I mean, even my kids use ChatGPT. I mean, who doesn't, right? So the world is evolving, the change is there, and almost all the fields are being impacted by it. Having said that, of course, program management is also going to be deeply impacted. I would look at this in a two-pronged way. One is how will it change the methodology? And two is what are the benefits this can get? And, heck, I'll add in a third point too. I mean, what are the disadvantages of it? Because not everything is always going to be good. You'll have the good and the bad. So starting with the benefits of what AI can do for an organization is, I mean, one thing, predictive analytics. Based on historical data, it can predict the outcomes for a certain project, which is really fast, time-consuming, iterative, and important, right? The second thing where I think AI is really going to be helping is also in terms of improving the resource allocations. By using AI tools, you can actually look into the resource, who's available, and like I said again, we're a global companies where there might be resources sitting in different parts of the world, and then you're looking at people who have the right skill set, and you can help with the resource allocation. You can also mitigate the risks, because what happens is that with AI you can come up with different models, different solutions, because AI will tell you that this project can go either in one direction or the other direction, and you'll be able to mitigate the risks. So having said that, these are the most important things which AI can do. It also gives you a competitive advantage. So it's much faster, it's sleeker in many ways. The second part, I would think about AI in PMO. How does it affect a project manager's life? Now you can see that the projects can be improved in doing so, but how does it affect a project manager's daily life, right? So one thing is automation. Automation is a big thing, because now with the use of an AI algorithm, you can automate some of the mundane project management tasks. For example, status reporting. As I'm talking to all my peers, we have status reports coming out every week, and then we sit and we do them, and it's a manual effort. But if you have an AI algorithm which can actually bring out the statuses and give it to you, or you can even have a bot, an AI bot, which reads out the status to you, even better. Like they say, listening is easier than reading, right?
Yeah.
So, you have that advantage. You can also automate in the Agile world, now that we touted so much about agility and how important Agile is. In Agile story writing, for example, right? I mean, you want a prompt to tell you what are the next steps in writing a story, or even provide a template on how the story can be written. What is the acceptance criteria? All this can be done through Agile methodologies. Through AI methodologies and Agile, of course, it can be done. So automation is, again, a big repetitive thing which can be done. So when you have these things being done, when the tasks are being automated, when the results are being predicted, when your resources are being looked at in a better way for you to use, when all this is being done, then people would say, hey, then a program manager's job is redundant, And no. I think a program manager's job will now have to change in a way that program managers now will have to learn to use AI for their benefit. And this would free up a lot of the program managers' time from doing mundane tasks to actually improving on creating a better communication with their stakeholders and working better and creating a strategic outlook. So they'll have more time to focus on strategy, more time to focus on improving the program itself, and they will have to work, and they need to educate themselves in learning AI. Because all what AI is doing, it needs education from the program managers. So program managers will need to be trained in how AI is used. They need to understand which are the right algorithms to pick and how the algorithms are going to work, what is the right training data set, and they'll have to work hand in hand with the MLEs and the data scientists to come up with that. So I hope I answered your question, or did I go overboard?
No, you did. In fact, your answer reminded me of the framework that PMI in its generative AI course also touches base upon, where they say some of the tasks are going to be automated, some are going to be assisted, and some will be augmented.
Yes.
Right. So you touched base. I think you gave examples of all three and how these PMOs are transforming.
Yes.
And you also answered my follow-up question, which was basically how program managers have to adapt, right? And what are the skills they need to focus on? You spoke about ML and learning about NLP and so on. My follow-up to that question is, there are skills that program managers definitely need to learn and evolve, and you talked about taking courses, but there are also now AI ML projects, right? Many organizations are focusing on implementing AI within all of their areas.
Yes.
Right. So there are projects in AI specific to AI, not just which are related to data analytics, but also marketing might have a AI ML project. Your finance might have an AI ML project, because there's a lot of room for automation. What's your advice for program managers who are trying to get into those projects? Right. What are the skills they need to focus on? And in addition to all the PM skills, what are the additional areas that they can focus on?
So AI projects are a different flavor on their own, because when you're talking about AI projects, there is a lot of iteration, there is a lot of learning the algorithms, knowing what the prompts are, knowing what your training data is. Also, you need to understand that not every project is an AI project. I know AI is the buzzword and everyone's saying, hey, I want to do an AI thing. It could also be a rule-based algorithm. It doesn't have to necessarily be Gen AI. Everything is not AI. Sometimes it's rule-based and sometimes it's easier. But
if I may stop you, right, for the benefit of our audience, do you want to differentiate AI versus rule-based?
Okay, so AI is looking at labeled data, it's looking at unstructured data, and it's going to give you an outcome. Whereas rule-based is something which a domain expert will set up a bunch of rules, which is more predefined, which is more organized. So AI is looking at a broader scale and coming up with a decision, whereas rule-based is like the rules are being set by the product owner who knows the rules, and then they're setting up the context. So it is also a different flavor, but in artificial intelligence, you're looking at a human-like way of thinking for or data which you're getting from a third-party vendor, or it could also be neural network data where the data is being learned and it's coming up, or it could be like you're getting a training set, or how it depends upon. So I hope that clarifies the differentiation. But coming back to what program managers can do in the AI space is the AI programs are going to be different. I mean, just as an example, you're looking at sending emails to your customers, for example, right? So you have a large database, or you have a large training set of data on what your customers have done in the past or what they want to do, and you want to sell them, for example, a better product, or you want to upsell your subscription to them in a different way. So in order to do that, the PM needs to understand first what is the project all about. Number one, it's not just that I'm working on this AI project. They need to understand, as usual, as with any other program management case, they need to understand what the project is about. They also need to understand the technology behind it. because it's this technology, what are the AI tools, where are they being implemented at the back end, how are they integrating it, how expensive is the tool to do it. They need to understand what are the algorithms which are going to be used, what is the training data which is going to be used, and they also need to communicate to the stakeholders that it's going to be iterative, it's going to be slow. You have a champion model and then you have a challenger model, how it is going to work and how it is going to move ahead. So it's not just your iterative cycle of dev, QA, UAT, and back and forth. So there's got to be a lot more iteration. So you're defining on the model, and then again, just because the model is developed, that doesn't mean your AI project is over. This model has to be implemented, it has to be adopted, and there has to be enablement. So there's a lot of change management which will also go along with it, and a lot of enablement, and a program manager should be up to speed to help in aiding this process.
Makes sense, totally. So PMI, I think, now recommends that for effective program management, there are 3 things that folks need to focus on. One is developing your ways of working. You should be able to manage projects in multiple ways. Second is your power skills, which is your communication, leadership, and all those skills. And the third one is domain, which is basically understanding the domain and area that you need to work on. But based on your answer, I think now with AI, they should also have a technology component to their domain.
Yes, I think, as we are evolving, both as organizations grow and as the PM methodologies change, it's always an edge to have a technical advantage, because you need to understand where is your source data coming from, where is it being stored, what are the security risks or compliance issues which you need to deal with, and once the model is developed, how is it going to be used. So you need to understand, you need to at least understand the basics of what is OpenAI, what are you talking about, what is Azure, what are you talking about in terms of the other tools which you're using, cloud technologies, what are the other technologies which you're using. It's very important that you know the tools, at least have an understanding of the tools. I don't think you need to be an expert, but having a deep dive understanding as to what is AI, how is it different from rule-based searches, why are we using AI, what is the power of using AI. And again, I did not answer that. What's the power of using AI? I mean, with AI, yes, productivity benefits. I mean, the time which is saved, whereas a person, I mean, just for a simple project, for you to set up the scope, or let's just look at resource planning. I mean, if a program manager was to go and he or she would spend hours in looking at the resource plan to find the right resources. But if it's an AI-generated algorithm, they can do that in a much faster time. So you're saving this person's hours in finding the resources to put in for the resource plan, just as a generic example. I should have come up with something better. But yeah,
this is good.
Just as a generic example, right? So yeah, so you have productivity gains, you save time, you increase cost, and also the reach. Like if you're talking about the customer generation email, right? A human being could just maybe do it in a few minutes, but AI could do hundreds in a few minutes, right? So your reach is better, the communication you're reaching out to the customer is better, it's more insightful, it's more in-depth. You're telling the customer what they should be doing in a way you're advising the customer. So there are a lot of benefits in doing that. And again, Mahesh, I did not touch on the bad parts of it. Now, all of this depends on the training data. Sometimes there could be bias in the training data. Sometimes the quality of the data is not good. So all these things also have to be taken into consideration. So again, you can't say AI is going to solve all our problems. It's still in a nascent stage. And on that, I heard something funny the other day. It was like, someone was telling me that AI is going to rule the world, and we're going to have self-driving cars, and it's all going to change everything. And apparently, again, this is what I heard, is that self-driving cars are right now at 96% efficiency, but that means there's still 4% chance that a car can kill you. So I don't think they're right there yet, but they're making progress. 96% is a huge deal. So.
Yeah, you touch a good point. There are definitely downsides, and we haven't reached a stage where it's mature, where people understand all the pros and cons of. Yeah. But I want to switch gears a bit and move towards data analytics. Mm-hmm. You have rich experience of managing data analytics projects, right? You spoke about MDM, Master Data Management. What are the skills that you think a program manager, before coming to program manager skills, How do managing data analytics projects, how are they different from managing, say, for example, a traditional software development projects? What's different, and what are the skills that program manager managing data projects, either part of a data engineering team or a data product team, what are the skills that they need to focus on?
I think if you're in analytics, definitely you need much more technical skills. I would definitely say that, because when you're looking at a regular software project, they tend to be longer, they tend to have larger cycles, they tend to be more defined. In analytics, it is like everything is very fast, everything is very quick, and from my experience, again, these large projects where you have for software development, they follow a certain release cycles as ordained by the organization. In the analytics space, you are moving at a much faster pace, you're developing things faster, and for a person to be in the analytics space, especially in the program management world, they should have experience in tools like Tableau, Power BI. It's very important that they're acquainted with this, because they'll be working a lot with that, and they could actually help facilitate the discussions with their stakeholders if they are technically competent.
Got it. Thanks for sharing. That's so insightful.
That's part of the jobs we do. So we got to do that.
Coming back to PMO and evolution of PMO, you walked us through from 1900s till 2024.
I'm not that old, guys. I mean, 1900s was what I read about, just for context.
In today's world, when we are setting up PMOs, or as a PMO lead, when you are setting agenda for the scope of what are the projects that come in, there are also aspects of ESG, right? Environmental, social governance, and also cyber security that probably you might have to think of. Can you talk about that? Like how ESG, does it really have to be part of project management? And if yes, how do you go about incorporating that to ensure that you are environmentally sustainable and so on?
No, it's a very good question, because that's one of the trends. If you're looking at it, like, especially with the younger generations, I mean, my kids only buy things from green companies. It's important, and I'm glad that we are moving in that direction, because as you can see, with global warming and all the stuff which is happening around, it is very important for us to be conscious of the environment. Having said that, all organizations, at least the big organizations and the environmentally conscious organizations, are having ESG initiatives. And the misnomer here is that when people think of ESG, they think it's something which should be done at the end. The project is over and now we are going to be ESG compliant and we are going to do this. And that is a mistake. I think ESG should be right from the initiation part of the project itself. It should be there in every step. Are we setting up the ESG goals when we are planning for a specific project? When we are doing the execution, are we monitoring and the monitoring part of it? Are we following the ESG guidelines which we set forth? Are we following the charter set by our organization for us to be ESG compliant? And it is not that something at the end of the project as an afterthought you think, oh, okay, let me add a certification to say that we are ESG compliant. Because to be truly ESG compliant, you have to be involved in every stage of the program. It has to be there. People have to be educated on it. People should know what is the value which is being derived from it, and people should follow that till the very end. And again, it's not that it's over. Likewise for cybersecurity too. It's not that, hey, I've implemented this project, I've made sure that all my security checks are done. It's even after what it's done, because that's when the maximum incidents come in cybersecurity. I mean, you finished your project, but then after that, that's when your security lapses come, right? And for ESG too, it's not that you're done. Even after you're done, you have to make sure that you're maintaining the standards you've set forward to. So, and I think it's a program manager's role that they should be putting both the security and the ESG initiatives right from initiation to the end.
So like GDPR and other regulations
Yes.
that companies worry about from day one, ESG, cybersecurity compliance also needs to be included right from your planning stages.
Yes, because the rate at which companies are growing right now, and ESG is a big thing. ESG is not something which you say, I'm just going to be compliant. It is something which needs to be from day one, for every project, whichever project, are we ESG compliant. And at cybersecurity, again, we are all of us, we are doing cyber banking, we are, even the younger generation. I mean, who uses a wallet anymore? It's Google Pay, right, or Apple Pay. So so cybersecurity is going to be a trend in the future, and it is something which cannot be ignored. It's not something where you just have some checkbox. So those projects are much more complicated. I'm not talking of the pure cybersecurity projects only deal in implementing cybersecurity. I'm talking about all the other projects also which might touch upon cybersecurity, that we need to be involved and be conscious about what is happening around as an organization, whichever organization you're working for. So,
thank you for sharing, Leela. Last question on this evolution topic. Where do you see we spoke about ESG and cybersecurity, but do you see any other trends where, from an PMO perspective, if you forecast into the future, what are some of the things that you think are of primary importance for companies?
Yeah, remote work. Remote work is huge. Since COVID hit us, I mean, most of the companies became quite remote, and now there is most companies are working in a hybrid model, and but remote work is something that, I mean, prior to COVID, remote was not as prevalent as it is now. I mean, prior to COVID, people maybe worked from home 1 day a week or something. Now there are more people working more from home and coming to office in a hybrid model, but there is also the concept of establishing teams in different areas, and that is growing a lot. Even interviews are being done remotely. It doesn't matter where you're based, but the interviews process is still going on remotely. So remote work, and as per some polls which were conducted, and I don't have the numbers right on top of my head, but there's a large preference for people to continue with the remote model. And by remote, I'm not saying 100% remote. Hybrid is what is the new way of looking at things. And there is a ask that as we move in the future, this is a trend which is going to be continuing. And I think this is something which came post-COVID. So remote work is something. And managing remote teams, again, has got its own nuances. How do you manage the teams? How do you track what they're doing? And again, communication. You've got to make sure that you have your chat channels open, that you're conscious about time zones, you're conscious about the cultural implications. And again, from a program management point of view, holidays, because different countries have different holidays. So when you're doing your resource planning, you got to take into consideration what are the cultural nuances of that country, and when and who's going to be available when and what, which is where I think your AI might help you because it does all this for you anyway. So.
That's a good segue to our next segment.
Oh, I have another segment? Okay.
We have a small rapid fire round for you.
Ooh, okay.
So I hope this should be fun.
Yeah,
but let's try it out.
It's always fun with you, Mahesh. So go ahead.
Thank you. So as a PM, what do you prefer? Methodology, Agile, Waterfall, or hybrid?
All three?
Okay.
See, I'm being diplomatic. I mean, I think Agile is fast and it is good, and Waterfall is not used as much, and hybrid is used for products which need hybrid. So, but I wouldn't say there's anything bad about either one of them. So,
that's a good answer. Remote work, preferred or not?
Hybrid. I think hybrid is a good solution, because, I mean, personally for me, I'm a people person. I love going to work. I love meeting my teammates, and I love meeting my team. So for me, being remote would not be, but for somebody else it might. I don't know. For me, I like the hybrid model, so no complaints there.
A follow-up on that. For a hybrid model, do you prefer 2 days a week, working from office 2 days a week, or 1 week a month?
2 days a week. 2 days a week is better, because I like to be consistent. Go 2 days a week, not 1 week. 1 week a month would have to coincide with my team members and my friends. I mean, we go to work also to create a social context to it, and also collaborate with your team and build relationships. So 1 week a month would just be like everybody could choose a different week, or I don't know how that works. So 2 days a week is actually
some companies do implement this 1 week a month, where they say that all team members will come on this week of the month. So they finalize the week, they come for 5 weeks of 5 days of the week, so that people who are even traveling might not be living in the Bay Area, might fly in and just be there for the entire week.
That's actually a good idea. I didn't think of it that way, but now that you say it, and now that the remote workers coming in, I think that might be a great idea. Personally, for me, this 2 days a week is working out just fine. So
okay. AI, threat or opportunity?
Opportunity. Always opportunity. I mean, unless you explore the opportunity, how do you know if it's a threat? I mean, hey, it's there, it's doing great, the world is changing. I mean, but I don't think it's something to be scared of, honestly, because you know what? When calculators came, everyone said, oh my God, my math career is done or whatever, right? No, we have calculators and we have people still studying math. And I still use a fraction calculator when I'm helping my kids with the homework. But, I mean, both of them exist side by side. So I don't think anything, when the internet came, people said, oh, libraries are going to shut down. No. So I think it is how you can use a tool to enhance what you already have rather than overtake. So that's my point of view.
Favorite AI tool?
Favorite AI tool?
Do you need options? Like we are thinking just about ChatGPT, Gemini Cloud, or Microsoft Copilot, but you can choose any.
OpenAI, ChatGPT 4 is then maybe 5 as of now, because personally I use a lot of it. Okay. So, I use ChatGPT a lot. I think there might be better tools out there. I know that Adobe has Firefly, where you can actually make pictures and paintings by saying, I want to see a Renoir painting of a dog sitting on a swing, and it actually does that for you. Again, there are a lot of options, but practically on a day-to-day basis, I use a lot of ChatGPT. Oh God, I'm being recorded. But yes, I do use a lot of ChatGPT.
I think we all do.
So I would say that for sure.
ESG in PMO, essential or optional?
Essential. Totally essential. Totally essential.
Last question. Best way to give back or share knowledge? Speaker sessions, podcast, mentoring?
Speak with Mahesh. I would say that. No, I think it's a combination of all three. Giving back is always good. You learn as you give back, and also I'm passionate about mentoring. I look at the younger generation, and there is so much we can do together as a team. So to me, it's very important that you mentor people. Podcasts are great because they can be viewed again, and it can get a lot of information. Coaching is again great fun. You get a team up, you motivate them, especially with students. And I also love mentoring veterans. That's one thing which I'm passionate about, because we owe it to them that they need to find a job in corporate America. So that's something I do too. So like I said, I'm a people person, so I like doing all these things, and hopefully I can make a dent somewhere.
Absolutely. Leela, this is fun. This was a fun rapid fire round. My last question to you on the podcast today is, knowing what you know today as a leader, right? If you have any advice for those who are starting as a program manager, what is one thing that you would like them to focus on, which you think is going to help them in their career?
Always learn. Learn. Be eager to learn. Just don't go with the mindset that this is something I cannot do. Go there, check it out, learn, grow from it. But having this mindset that, I don't think I can do it, I don't know if I want to do it, I don't know, it is too complicated, like AI, oh my God, it's got all these algorithms, I don't know. No, go take a course in AI. Go find out about things, experiment, learn, because if you don't learn now, when are you going to learn? Yeah. This is the time for you to learn, to explore, to go. And definitely for anybody joining as a PM, PMI org is a great place, because there are a lot of exposure to a lot of activities which are being given. Like I know you hold mentoring sessions, you hold interview sessions, you hold a lot of things. So this is an extremely valuable resource. So please use everything which is available to you. And again, you have the internet, you have libraries, you have books. You own your own career, you own your own life. So just bash on regardless, go and do things. So that would be my advice.
Growth mindset. This is so powerful. Leela, thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for being on Mentorship Masterminds.
Thank you, Mahesh. I thoroughly enjoyed this session, and good luck for all future mentoring sessions.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Mentorship Masterminds. Today's session on transforming PMOs with amazing Leela Krishna. I hope it helped you learn few nuggets of program management, understand the trends, and help you move an inch closer towards your leadership goals. Thank you for tuning in to Mentorship Masterminds. Until next time, keep thriving, keep inspiring.